just left Tombstone, and I'm headed to Phoenix because I got a personal invite to the home of the legendary Wyatt Earp. Follow me. Okay, I'm walking up to Wyatt Earp's house. Check it out. Here we go.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Craig. Thanks for coming home.
Nice to meet you. I came all the way up to Phoenix because I had a personal invite to go to the house. You'll never guess. Wyatt Earp. Yeah, I know you're thinking Jose Crego must got a time machine, but no, that's not it. This is the great grand nephew of Wyatt Earp, and his name is Wyatt Earp. Wyatt, how you doing today, my
Fine.
brother?
Nice to have you in our home.
I tell you what, I am amazed that you allowed an old cowboy like me to come into your house.
Of course. I stay open to everybody. I'm happy to have you in my home. You betcha.
You've traveled all around the world and
that's
entertained in
Right.
all these countries. To clarify this, because I don't know if I have this correct, from what I understand, you're the great grand nephew
That's right.
of Wyatt.
That's right.
And has anybody ever told you you have a striking resemblance to him in this age?
Yeah, the DNA didn't fall far from the tree.
Tell us what it's about. I need to know
Okay,
what you do
it's
for
what's
a show.
called in the world of theater, it's called a biodrama. And that's fancy words for a one-person show in which biographically the life of the person is dramatized by a person who depicts that person himself. And so in my case, people experience the story Hollywood never told, the man instead of the myth. And the first show is called Wyatt Earp, A Life on the Frontier. 2-act, the first act's 49 minutes, second act's 28 minutes and 30 seconds. The guy the other day says, what do you mean 30 seconds? And I said, well, it takes 30 seconds for the gunfight. I started Wyatt Earp, A Life on the Frontier, April 16th of 1996. I did the first show of Wyatt Earp, A Life on the Frontier. And in the year of 2002, I opened with the first show of The Gentleman Doc Holliday. And I had a very close kindred relationship with Karen Holliday. She was the closest living relative of Doc, and she wrote the consummate book on Doc Holliday called Doc Holliday, A Life Portrait.
He had tuberculosis.
He had tuberculosis by the time he was 18 years old.
And died in Colorado and is buried there, I believe.
That's right. That's right. In Glenwood Springs. That's Doc, the real picture. That's the real. And there's Wyatt at the age of 34.
Okay.
And that's Wyatt at 81.
Okay.
And that's the age he is that I depict him as when I do the show.
I see. Okay. All right.
And there he is. Also, when I do the show, I'm sitting in a chair just like that.
All right.
This is Virgil.
Sure. Okay. How about this gun here?
It's not true.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. There is one gun that really was Wyatt's that I can vouch for. It's on the wall of the Red Dog Saloon in Alaska. When he and Sadie learned that she was pregnant the second time, after she miscarried the first time down in San Diego and they desperately wanted a family, they rushed home to San Francisco to see her doctor. In the process, he left his gun in the sheriff's office. He was in a hurry, and the sheriff turned it over to the Red Dog Saloon. They put it on the wall there.
Oh my gosh. Do you have any weaponry from that
I
time?
have weaponry that replicates it, but I don't have any. No. If somebody had Wyatt Earp's gun, it'd be worth a lot. Wyatt studied Shakespeare prolifically, even though he didn't have much in the way of a formal education. He was an avid reader, and he studied Shakespeare with a gentleman named Tom Mix out in California, and they were best friends. In fact, Tom Mix was a pallbearer at Wyatt's funeral, along with John Clum and a lot of the other famous folk. And this is a book about Ike Clanton.
Oh, sure.
And Terry Ike Clanton and I are very good friends. He lives in Tombstone in California. But Terry, he takes a contentious approach to the Earps because of the fact that Ike Clanton was, and all that. The Clantons are on the other side.
To this day, he does.
Yeah. Well, it's good PR for him, too. What I like about what I have here, these are all very ethical.
You said that he didn't use rough language and didn't drink alcohol. He was
He was a teetotaler. He never drank at all. Except one time, he was in Lamar, Missouri, and he never drank after that because he came out and jumped on the wrong horse. And he was accused of horse thievery. It was dismissed, but he says, I learned then important to be very careful about picking your friend.
Did the Earp at the OK correct face anybody going, hey, what'd you shoot them boys for?
Oh, sure. There were two factions in town.
Right. And nobody ever was on trial for anything?
Yeah. Judge Spicer dismissed the whole thing as ridiculous. First words out of Virgil's mouth were, and this is after John Bean came up and said to him, you don't have to go down there, you don't have to go down there, I've disarmed him. And they could see that there was Frank McClary and Billy Clanton with their weapons in plain sight. And so they shoved on past him, and Virgil says, throw up your arms, we've come to disarm you. And Frank and Billy put their hands on their weapons, and then Virgil yelled, hold, I don't want that. And then the ball opened. Yeah, these two, and Doc, all three of them fired about the same time. And then Clanton ran over and grabbed Wyatt by the left arm and said, I'm not healed, don't shoot me, Wyatt. And he says, get away, this fight's commenced, get to fighting or get away. And he ran into the Fly's photo studio. Eddie Borden of the Hardway House is the only witness to the whole thing.
The two brothers were violently shot too. Virgil, he was shot.
Yeah, and is crippled by his left arm for the rest of his life.
Right.
He's buried up in Oregon.
And then Morgan, he was shot in Tombstone also.
Yeah, he was assassinated. Well, Morgan and Bob Hatch were close friends. Bob Hatch owned Hatch's Billiards. Mm-hmm. And Morgan, Wyatt, and Doc all went to see a comedy that night to kind of get away from all the tension and all that. Mm-hmm. And as they came out, they went over to Hatch's to keep a promise that Morgan had made to Bob to play one final game of billiards with Bob, and indeed it was. Because as Morgan went to break, the shots came through the window and broke and shattered his spinal cord. And another bullet just missed Wyatt's line.
Wyatt was there too then?
Oh, all of them were there. Well, except Doc. Doc was in the Oriental, and someone came in and told Doc that Morgan had just been shot. And Doc ran down there with his gun drawn and started swearing, somebody's going to pay for this. Because he and Morgan were very close friends,
right.
too.
So he died right there in the pool hall.
They carried him over to a saloon. They laid him on a couch.
I see.
He asked Wyatt to tell the parents goodbye for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that his legs be laid out straight and his boots taken off. It was important to him. He said a man should die with his boots on only if he died in a fair fight.
Did Wyatt then run out guns blazing? Or?
No. He they call it the vendetta, but he had a posse and they hunted him down
and they did catch him all.
They kind of evened the score.
When you do your shows, you dress the part.
Yes.
I'm assuming.
I'm dressed as an older Wyatt in his thick suspenders and wrinkled up mining pants.
Right, sure. So when you start your show, what's your first lines? How do you introduce yourself? Yes.
Well, he's speaking to an invisible reporter that his wife left in the front room. He was dodging reporters all his adult life, and the media, who are always publishing inflammatory stories about him. So the opening line is, Mr. Noble, you're still here? Yeah, you're persistent, I'll give you that, but what I won't give you is an interview. What newspaper? Where is it? And then I reach over and I find a newspaper on the back of my chair, and I say, a tribute by William S. Hart to those bold gunmen who molded a new country for us to enjoy peace and prosperity, Hitchcock, Short, Holiday, Thompson. And we have with us today in the flesh two of these men, Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp, blah, 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 blah. For no history of the West would be complete without their wonderful deeds being recorded. Mr. Noble, the man that wrote these words, he was a friend of mine. Tried to get my memoir sold to movie studios. No takers. So you see, you're just wasting your time. You'd be better off writing on other things. Famous? Listen, notoriety has been the bane of my life. Thank God I'll not be famous. Nobody's interested in the thing I'd have to say. No one cares. They're all happier with their own fabrications. Proof? Here's what I'm trying to get to. Well, just look at some of these articles in your own filing. Oh, here's the one where the Los Angeles Times has me being killed in Colton, California, shortly after leaving Tombstone. Now, that came as a surprise. I might be getting old, but getting killed something I'd remember. It took me 2 years to hunt down the scoundrel who wrote this pack of lies, and when I did find him, he turned out to be a little bit of a man with a big imagination. Seemed harmless enough, so I let him off with a retraction, which is sort of a threat. Well, you see, Morgan had always had a curiosity, Mr. noble about spiritual things, and he once gave me this book that talked to people who'd seen heaven, supposedly heaven at the point of death. And I told him I didn't think there was anything waiting for us there. So after some discussion, we made a bet. We agreed that if either one of us were ever dying, we'd try to let the other one know if the book was true. What Morgan said in his last moments was, Wyatt, I can't see a damn thing. This is a very hard way to die. And then he died. The clock. In a matter of minutes, it was midnight, my 34th birthday. And I knew, as I saw them carry my brother away, that from that moment on, I would make my own law.
I thank you for inviting me into your home today and sharing your vast knowledge of the history of Tombstone and your family and all. Wyatt Earp.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, my philosophy of life is that the shortest distance between two people is a good laugh. And an optimist is somebody that when they smell smoke, they go frantically running for the marshmallows.
Thank you, my friend. That's Wyatt Earp. Peace out, OG.